No, not that one. Cut the green wire. Green wire, are you crazy? You mean the red wire? No, it's always the red wire. Red, you're dead. Green one, green one. All right, clock's ticking down in the background because three, two, one, clip, and cut. Awesome. Thanks, guys. You guys did great. Let's see you back here on set for tomorrow morning. And with that, a small, I shouldn't say a small, that's racist. A young dwarven man with a bit of red fire in his hair kind of gets up from the scene and goes back into makeup as the lights and stuff are pulled back away from the recording equipment, and then goes on with his day. He gets into the little trailer that he has, shucks off his outfit, cut the red wire. These guys know anything about how this usually works. Pulls on his little cap, a little pipe, lights it up with some tobacco, and steps out into the parking lot, picks himself up a taxi, goes to one of the local pubs. Inside, there's a bunch of Irish music playing, and he sits down with an overly Irish gentleman who begins to have a conversation with him about blowing up buildings and things that certain families need done and other things to take back the land. And with that, we get into Shamus. I'm going to be a little upfront here. Shamus is a bit of uh, a history with Shamus. His base concept of a an Irish dwarf who was a member of the IRA is something that I had played a little bit before. In this build, I'm going to go a little bit more into the stunt slash washed up actor aspect of things, because in that previous game he was a face and he did have a couple of things going on for him there. So first things we need are to set up our priorities here. Um, in Seamus's case, he is a dwarf, and that is pretty integral to a lot of the aspects of his personality and stuff as it will go on. So we'll kind of start things off as he is both a charismatic individual and a smart individual. We're gonna bump his mental stats up quite a bit here. Um, Come over here, we're gonna even out his agility, his other stuff, and we'll just kind of let it sit like that. Um, as a dwarf, you actually have a pretty good suite of bonus attributes you get for your priority C selection here. In addition to just the attributes, you're going to get the pathogens and toxin resist, which is effectively 2 more body for those tests that comes up. That's huge. That's a lot of karma potential there. And thermographic vision is always nice to have for free. The additional 1 point of special attribute point bonus you get gives you a nice, I don't want to necessarily call it comfortable, because I personally prefer 3 edge as opposed to 2 edge minimum. But that's one of the prices we pay for being a non-human. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna then flip through the negative qualities real quick and see what we have that comes up with here. Um, Scrolling through his thing, we're gonna go bad reputation because it could be a possibility. We're gonna come down. Um, Code of honor, if you can clear it with your group and your GM in the game that you're running, could be very much in the Irish, the IRA, certain mafia families potentially, something like that. I'm gonna leave them off because they're a little kind of dependent upon your table situation. Uh, Following down in here is gonna be I really like Did You Call Me Dumb? Because on a social character, you're not probably ever going to critically glitch because you will have a good social pool. However, the chance for an actual glitch exists, and the idea to suddenly have a person who's normally very sociable do something incredibly dumb is interesting and makes for good ideas. Distinctive style, we'll get into some details on that, but that'll come in with some of the aspects of things. Something like family curse or lightweight can play into the um, I don't want to say the stereotype, but it is a stereotype, a cliche, and a trope of the Irish having a trouble with uh, alcohol. But I will apologize for that right now. But it is a thing that exists, and it is not necessarily a really bad thing for dwarves because they get that bonus resistance. So it really just kind of brings them down to everybody else. But you can play it up. A lot of times, people who run the shadows will develop various addictions and uh, things that go on with their character in the form of alcohol problems or chain smoking, and that kind of stuff comes up a bunch. Um, Coming down a little bit more, I always really wanted to try liar on a face, but the um, what you call it, the tracking of the context aspect of things looked like it was always get kind of rough for me. And until I get to play it in a long-term game, I don't want to break into it. It could be an interesting thing for him here. Um, Loss of confidence has a lot of potential flavor to it if we push more on the actor performance road. And at current, with the skills a priority, we're not as punished for having it as many people would be. The It could lead to an interesting reason as to why he's no longer trying to do the acting thing, or maybe not the acting thing as much. Things like phobias are always good ways to tell your GM this is how you can push one of my buttons. Um, I like the idea of reduced hearing because I intend on giving him some explosives knowledge and activities, and when you deal with explosives a lot, your hearing tends to go. Coming down a little bit more, signature is an interesting thing, but that is really dependent upon what is going on. Um, and then down here in the bottom, uh, I'll throw unsteady hands on some potential there. Close that out. Going up here into positive qualities, just do analytical mind because he's a smart person. Go down here for uh, there's potential for a lot of different ways to take him on how he got up where he is now. The Baron's Rat fits that very well. The Better Than Fear Than Loved would fit the sort of IRA enforcer type situation, which he could be a part of. Um, Blandness is a nice quality for a face. Cat-like is always a solid one, but we're going to skip over that for now. Common sense is an incredibly powerful quality. Uh, Going down a little bit more. Disgraced because it's cheap and might actually fit with the whole uh, IRA part of things. Drug tolerant could be the other side, the positive side of that long-standing history of the Irish with all of those things. Uh, First impression is a fantastic quality for a face. I like it over trustworthy because it's more generally applicable. Uh, Skip over guts because we're already way overspent on positive qualities. Jack of all trades is fantastic, especially for that's kind of where we're going already. Uh, Linguist is great. Made man is pretty good. My country, right or wrong, could fit if you want to do. We end up in a more IRA focused aspect. Coming down here, perfect time is a really strong quality, as is photographic memory is flavorful, but at the same time is a very limited quality. Come down a little bit more. Rank could fit in with the NRA type of things. The School of Hard Knocks, I think that's the way we're going to go with this. It's a little more interesting. Solid legendary rep could be IRA. Uh, then I feel like that is a huge number of qualities. We're way overspent, but we're gonna trim this out. So we're gonna toss blandness because that's expensive. We're gonna toss drug tolerant. toss. What's that one? Toss photographic memory. Oof, still way overspent. All right. Some of this will depend upon uh your GM and how easily he likes to let you guys pick up extra qualities, because typically they're supposed to be a fairly RP focused or um, major event focused purchase. So with the Baron's Rat, the Disgraced, let me read this again real quick, see what it does. Characters of fearsome reputation that criminals will treat him warily. He's +2 ice pool for attempting to intimidate such individuals. Um, Now let's toss that, because instead of the disgraced aspect of things, I like the idea of it's a bad reputation. Like maybe he has the reputation for being a bit of a hard ass. Come on here, we're gonna toss signature and unsteady hands. Still 12 over. I get a lot more flavor, I think, out of uh, the loss of confidence than I do the, the reduced sense and stuff. Like reduced sense hearing can go on a lot of people that are around explosions, or maybe they're a DJ, or maybe they're a street samurai with a lot of automatic shooty bang bang dice, that kind of stuff. So gonna gonna pull that out of there, because that can be a lot of different things. Um, his distinctive style is going to be his accent, because we are going to be in a Seattle focus range, and he's a heavy smoker, so he always smells of a certain tobacco. When you Anybody who meets a long smoker, goes into their house, is going to know that that kind of stuff permeates every aspect of their life. So this guy is going to have a little bit of an aroma about him that is ever so slightly detectable by people who cyber noses, or just a good sense of smell and that kind of thing. And it'll be a thing that they remember, because man, that guy must have smoked a lot. Um, Coming up here, we're going to trim this out a little less on the intelligence things. We're going to come into a little bit more. Yeah. Uh, Man, I don't want to let that go. Um, the flavor here, which actually, now that we've narrowed down the positive qualities, seems to be less on the actor side of things, and more on the, as a Baron's Rat who has grown up into the IRA with a lot of the street knowledges, like it works out in that his linguist capabilities here, maybe he was the guy that went from worked kind of like a liaison in between different people. That is why he has moved up in the ranks. That's why he's become a bit more of a made man. But he is from the streets, and maybe the little scene at the beginning that I described was due to a run that he was on, or maybe he was consulting as a side job. I think there's kind of a lot of different ways that we can deal with it. Now, with our priorities, we don't have a lot of money, so we're going to need to be efficient on a lot of the things we pick up. The executive suite, which is a 12 armor, social armor, gives you some social bonuses and stuff, is only like 2 grand. So that is really easy to pick up for a lot of your lower Nuyen folks. That will get them um, a bit more of that social acceptability, rather than the whole I'm wearing an armor jacket, a ballistic mask, and forearm guards. That is kind of boring. Coming over into his active skills, we're gonna click through this real quick and see what we can come up with. We're gonna go clubs, and we'll get to that in a little bit. We're gonna go. I want to say pistols, because pistols are always a great thing. Coming down into skill groups with the skills A character, we have a huge number of skill group points, which are always great until you run out of them, and you are saddened. Um, So starting off, we are making a socially oriented character. So we're going to have the influence group, which is a fantastic group for um, anybody really. Uh, Etiquette, leadership, and negotiation are a great way to get through your day. And I kind of click at these other ones solo. We already decided we're doing some demolition, so we're going to get demo and chemistry. Um, the idea here is that we're going to be able to fill in a lot of the uh, let's call it substandard um, skills that most people don't usually deal with. He's very much going to fit into a lot of different supporting of the team roles. I really like the influence group at 5, and that's going to let us get our stealth group at 5, which will give us decent sneaking, and disguise is always really good. Come down here to intimidation. Let's go with mental. He seems more mentally oriented rather than physical, especially when you throw in the fact that he is a dwarf. I'm going to give him a. He smokes a lot, so I don't want to give him a. Well, no. Let's give him a sense specialization. Performance. And pistols. Pistols are just a really strong pick. Get a couple of extra dice for your thing. From here we still have like 10 skill points left, so we're gonna grab a couple of points in chemistry just to, with a little leeway, you can get that to help out your demo rolls. The silly specialization impersonation of dwarves because you are a dwarf, and that is what you've been typecasted with a little bit of acting work that you may have gotten to do. That's not a comment. That's not throwing weapons. I apologize. This, well, delivery of explosives. And with 2 points left, let's go down and get something interesting. Let's get artisan, and let's throw a specialization on this. Fashion. Boom. Coming down in here, let's grab our loss of confidence. Depending upon how you want to work this out, this could be an interesting way to mix in another character into your backstory. In one of the games that I had a player who played alongside me. We had a similar backstory in the military aspect of things, where my character has a partial cyber leg because things went bad, and she tried to kick a grenade away that she was trapped under, or she was trapped. A grenade landed near her, and she tried to kick it away. The other player dove on top of the grenade and is now a full body replacement. What should we call it? A full body replacement cyborg for the basics, the basic way of doing things. So you could get your loss of confidence that we have here in demolitions, and maybe something went bad with your teammate. You could do a number of other things because, like, we could boost up. We don't boost up, but we have the intimidation at a 4, and maybe years of being the butt of short jokes for being a dwarf started to wear on him, and now he's not as into intimidation as he was before. Which I actually kind of like that as a by itself thing. Oh, there's definitions, and I'll put this in the can class things. You guys to a point where smoking a lot deadens your sense of smell. So now we have the basis of our skill group. He does a couple of different things. Mostly he fits your social face role because he's going to have your con, your etiquette, your negotiation, that kind of stuff at a fairly decent dice pool for an unaugmented individual. He's not some genetically optimized exceptional attribute charisma dryad mystic adept 24 dice do all that crazy stuff. But what he is he's a person, and we're going to come over here and we're going to get to native language, his knowledge skills and all that wonderful stuff. English. Here to knowledge skills. Organized crime, because that is a great knowledge skill to have. And then we can throw a IRA specialization on there. Go down here. Tridio. No, that's not a street. Drugs. And specialization of tobacco. Which I feel like I spell. Because he is really into tobacco. Likes his very specific brands of stogies. And fashion. Let's give him a street fashion so that he's more into the man on the street and what he is kind of wearing, that kind of stuff. Let's expand his acting side of things that we had here as a potential. So he's gonna have a theater, couple of points, improvisational, because improv theater is a wonderful. Which we're actually going to go back over here to his artisan. We're going to change his fashion specialization because that's fun. And we're going to go to writing, and maybe that's where he's kind of taking this a little bit. He's come up from nothing, and now he wants to get his ideas onto paper to get a little bit of his creativity out in ways that don't involve blowing things up. So come over here to theater. We'll change this theater specialization to poetry. Gangs. Pretty good thing for social people to have. Spec that into. I don't want to be boring here, so let's go with downtown. Everything always happens downtown. Downtown is a great place to be. Click around a little bit and see what else we can come up with for him. We have a pistol specialization, so let's throw your taser. I can't believe I struggled for that long to find that word when it was literally right in front of me. And then we're gonna grab a holdout pistol because they are classic. I try and find the one that I'm looking for. Streetline specials. I'm not going to bore you guys with putting a bunch of ammos and stuff. And then, because it fits with having a giant no-nonsense gun, I'm actually going to skip the room sweeper because Hero Lab recently came out with the hard targets, and the Lamat with its singular shotgun barrel is a great way to make a point. We already have a little bit of armor. We can get into that a little bit more. Matrix, he'll have a bunch of comm links and that kind of stuff. But some of the other stuff we're gonna get in here is not gonna bore you with the normal gear, but we will get some some of his contacts taken care of. Um, let's see. We'll use him from the actual games. Wyatt Burp, bartender, Dusty Trip. Other people that he might know, an arms dealer, or that could actually be through his criminal syndicate. So instead, let's give him a better idea here. Red Hot Nukes. The Red Hot Nukes are a all-dwarven go gang, which specialize in explosives. Part of the initiation is to disarm a bomb from uh, their leader. And, well, guess what happens when you fail to disarm a bomb, guys? It goes kaboom. Given as he is a dwarf and he is into explosive, it makes super sense that he gets associated with these guys on at least a tangential level, on a supplier kind of thing. It's like, hey, I need some stuff. You guys help me out. His IRA syndicate, which I'm pretty sure I can, yeah, boost up, and that'll probably be his fixer slash guns, because that seems like the kind of things that they are going to um, kind of thing. And I've come up with a good name for them. I don't know how that works with the group contact thing. Kind of crazy. Other interesting people he could know. He would need an agent. Um, I don't know if I have a name for an agent right now, but this is maybe he's trying to get into that whole acting kind of thing. Maybe this is a guy he met on a job that he did that was a more shadow work than it was IRA work. And now, they kind of, when you're a social person, you know that knowing other social people is beneficial. So he kind of keeps them around as a, hey, by the way, um, works at Horizon. Knowing a man at Horizon is very, very helpful because that's one of the Big Ten guys. Um, who else does he? He doesn't really need drugs because he can find drugs. It always gets kind of interesting in here when let's go for faces, because faces don't need to worry about connection ratings and stuff for acquisition of gear because you have a good negotiation pool for most things. Uh, let's go with a lawyer. Give my Matthew Bonner. When you're doing criminal things on the regular, it's helpful to have somebody that is, let's face it, corrupt and money hungry as you are. So somebody that can attempt to get you out of things. Not a bad idea to have on your payroll. Uh, he's going to need a name, which I don't know what is off the top of my head. Coming back over to some of the other stuff, though, I'm comfortable about 20 grand of things that we can spend on um, augments and that kind of stuff. One of the things that will be of huge help with his particular situation with the linguistics is going to be mnemonic enhancers. These things are amongst some of uh, my favorite cyberware or bioware in the game. The ability to easily throw one or two karma into a knowledge skill and suddenly have significantly better knowledges is really, really strong. So I'm going to grab him. Yeah. The major criminal syndicate languages, because that is kind of what he did. So Japanese, uh, Russian, Chinese, and we're going to throw speak in there. Mostly because it's cheaper. and I'm a terrible min-maxer. I apologize. I feel like I want to throw Italian on there too, just cause. So then we can just kick these up one each because we have linguist. And now we have a guy who is your in-between man for a couple of different things. You need your mafia guy to talk to your yakuza guy to work out a deal, which plays back into actually the uh, run notes that I posted before this. You've got a guy here that can speak pretty well to translate things, and he has a decent negotiation dice pool to make things happen. And etiquette dice pool to not offend a lot of people. Um, we do still have a huge amount of karma left, so I think instead of some of these, I'm going to tweak some of his contacts a little bit. I'm going to add. Let's add three more. Let's get crazy. They're all going to be 3 1s because these are business guys that give you opportunities to increase them in play. And Yakuza Lieutenant, Glory Lieutenant, Mafia Lieutenant. Uh, super uh cliche on the names for now. Does much about it. Top. I don't know any good Irish names. Open up my check quick and hit that. Name sets. Sorry, I know this makes terrible radio. Uh, Random Irish name generator. Oh, Frank Brennan. Thank you, Google. So now he's got a bunch of different contacts that he can call for a bunch of different things. With one loyalty on his organized crime contacts, it might be a little rough to get them to do stuff for him. But if he's doing things anyway that can benefit um, certain members of their organization already, it is it's in their best interest to allow him and to potentially work with him to get that done. Um, I also just realized that Rasputin is a terrible name for a Yakuza person. Yakuza. Here we go. Ryu Sakamoto. This is actually a pretty intense name generator. Um, as most things with being a face is that it is important to know a bunch of different people in a bunch of different circles. Here we have three different flavors of organized crime. We have somebody connected with the megacorps. We have somebody connected with law. We have somebody connected with gangs. We have somebody connected with the normal people, your bartender, and you have somebody that is your fixer or in this case the IRA. Um, there's 10 karma and about 30 grand worth of stuff that is left to spend so far as resources. However, I'm going to kind of skip that for now because that's always really boring to watch me fill in. I'll just come back here and tweak a few of these things. Intimidation. And let's drop these down. Pick up something else. I don't think I want explosives. Seattle area specialization tobacco shops, which would actually make a better contact than Wyatt. So I'm gonna pull him off. Smoky Joe, tobacco shop, importer. Gives him a little bit more flavor than just the uh, bartender, because a lot of people can have bartender contacts, but this guy smokes so much that he's gonna have an odor about himself. Um, Tempted to get him a cyber nose because that would end up having him the ability to filter out all of the non-tobacco-y smells. Apparently, that's because it's all factory, not nose. Yeah, they're cheap. Screw it. I'll throw that on there. Boom, done. Stick fork in it. So that's the basic starts for him. There's a lot of different ways to go. Uh, Depending upon the power level of your game, you might want to switch some things around, and instead of being as widespread as we ended up being here, focus him in a little bit more. Maybe you guys already have a face, so you want to dump some of the social aspects of things, and in that case, instead of um, the 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 social dice pools and that kind of stuff, you could instead easily pick up the biotech group and turn him into a little bit of a medic because he already has the higher logic score to make that workable. You can also take his charisma down a couple of steps to even out his stats in other areas to maybe raise his willpower, something along those lines. Um, Wherein you get that idea of the IRA as the kind of patch you up, bring you back kind of thing, and he can work. Granted, Shadowrun doesn't really need a healer, but having somebody that can patch you up or put new tech in you, pretty useful. Um, so that can easily take up the other five of the group points, the points that are in uh, impersonation con, and performance can easily turn into things like uh, more points for your demolition skill or uh, your chemistry. They can turn into some computer and hardware points. They could turn into industrial engineering, which is helpful for dealing with explosives. I actually should spend a couple of his points on structural engineering or architecture, so that this way he can make use of some of the wonderful rules in run and gun for maximizing explosive effort. I actually think I will do that right now. Knowledges, drugs, go down. Fashion, go down. Actually, let's just toss fashion. We're going to go with a profession knowledge, structural engineering, specialization, structure. And this way he can make use of that. If I can come over here, maybe I will skim a couple of points out of performance because we didn't end up going that way. And specialization, presentation. Slip this point out of here because now we can have the presentation and the artisan work in tandem with each other, and you can raise them as you go. Coming down here to adding a new skill, let's grab industrial mechanic, which will work out with the structural engineering skill that we have. Clubs we can also toss. My idea for that kind of fell through. Push this up a little bit. 2 skill points left. Um, hmm. Could get crazy and give him heavy weapons. Go nuts. Or I really like having the athletics group on because it helps be able to swim. But even something small like survival or tracking could help. Um, in this situation, I think I'm going to give him hardware because it'll help with the industrial mechanics, structural engineering, and explosions. And that, I think, guys, is going to be the end of this video. Um, if you guys like, please leave questions or comments down below. I will have a link to both the Hero Lab save file, Hero Lab's website, and the PDF for you guys to take Shamus and use him at home. And he will show up in Games for GMs 3, which will probably be up sometime a week after this video is recorded. If you guys want to get a hold of me, I am reachable at gmbamce@gmail.com, BAMCE, or at GM_Bamce on Twitter. So thank you guys very much for coming out. I will see you guys around.